Hello my dear friends, welcome to this beautiful channel Fly with Physics and myself Adira. Today we are going to study two more cases in our continuous charge distribution, which is important for both board exams and also entrance exam. So let's get started. So case number 4, we have already discussed 3 cases in our last class. If you haven't seen it, just check it out and see that video, then come to this video, okay? So our case 4 is find the electric field at a point P on the perpendicular bisector of a uniformly charged road. So this is our really thin road and it is uniformly charged. So let's give this charge positive. So this is a uniformly charged road and we should find electric field at a point P on the perpendicular bisector of a uniformly charged road. So we should find electric field at a point P. So let's consider this as a point P and let's draw a perpendicular bisector to this point P. So this is our perpendicular bisector and let's consider that the distance from the road to this point P is A. Now let's join these two ends of this road to this point P. So let's join this. And this angle is theta 1 and this angle is theta 2. So let's consider a small element, length element. So this is our small length element, which is dl. So I'll write it here. It is dl, which has a charge of dq. So this is our point charge. Okay. And the distance from this perpendicular bisector to this small length element is, let's consider it as L. Now let's join this small length element to our point P, and this element is making an angle of phi with the bisector. So this is angle phi and the angle of this small length element is d phi. Okay, so I think you have understood up to this much. Now due to the small length element dl, a electric field is experienced at point P, which has a direction of this. So the electric field has a direction of this and it is dE. Since this is a vector, we can take a components of this. So when we take this component, we will get it as, this will be the two components. And since this angle is phi, this angle also becomes phi. So this part becomes dE cos phi, dE cos phi, cos phi, and this part becomes dE sin phi. And the distance from this small length element to the point P is r. And this part dE cos phi, we can represent it as Ex, since it is in the direction of x-axis. And this part which is in dE sin phi, we can represent it as Ey, because it is in the direction of y-axis. Since there are two components, dE cos phi and dE sin phi, we need to find electric field of Ex and Ey separately. So let's find it. So the electric field at point P due to the small length element dl is given as dE is equal to, so what is the equation? K dq by r square. And since it is a linear charge distribution, we can write it as dq is equal to lambda dl. So we can apply this in here. So we get dE is equal to K lambda dl by r square. Okay. Now here we can see that this r square is a variable. That means if I take a length element of this part, then r changes. If I take a length element in this part, then also distance between this small element and distance from this small length element to the point P changes. So r is a variable. So we need to change all the variables in terms of phi. So we have to convert these variables in this equation in terms of phi. So let's do it. For that, let's consider this triangle. I'll draw this triangle separately here. So this is our triangle with angle phi. And this is L. And here we have A. And this distance is R. So from this triangle we get it as cos phi is equal to adjacent side by hypotenuse. So A by R. So from this we get 1 by R is equal to cos phi by A. So 1 by R square is equal to cos square phi by A square. So apply here. So we will get the equation as D is equal to K lambda cos square phi by A instead of R square, cos square phi by A square into dl. Now this r square variable came in the form of phi, but there is one more variable here, dl. So how can we convert this term dl in terms of phi? For this, let's again consider this triangle. From this triangle, tan phi is equal to opposite side by adjacent side. Opposite side is L by A. So we get it as L is equal to A tan phi. Okay. Now we are differentiating this equation in terms of phi. We get it as dl phi is dl by d phi is equal to d phi is equal to A. Since A is constant, we put it out. A differential of tan phi is sec square phi. From this we get dl is equal to A sec square phi d phi. So let's apply this. First let's put it in a box. So let's apply this equation in here. So we get it as dE is equal to K lambda cos square phi instead of dl A sec square phi d phi by A square. So 1A and this A cuts and go. Now let's complete the derivation in our next slide. dE is equal to, K lambda cos square phi sec square phi d phi by A. Okay. Now, this sec square phi. What is sec phi? 1 by cos phi is sec phi, right? Let's write it here. Sec phi, sec theta is equal to 1 by cos phi. Put it in a box. Okay, now apply here. So we get it as d is equal to k lambda cos square phi d phi. Instead of sec square phi we can write as cos square phi. So a cos square phi 1 by cos square phi. So this cos square phi and this cos square phi cut and go. So we will get the equation as k lambda by a d phi. So our one big step is completed. Now we want to find each of the components. So for that, let's find Ex first. So here Ex in the figure is given as dE cos phi. So it is integral of dE cos phi. And from word to word we need to integrate. So look this figure. So it's our perpendicular bisector and we need to integrate it from minus theta 2 to plus theta 1. So it's minus theta 2 to plus theta 1. So our lower limit is minus theta 2 and upper limit is plus theta 1. Minus theta 2 to plus theta 1. So now let's apply equation for dE here. So we get it as integral of minus theta 2, where is my theta 2? Yeah, to theta 1. Instead of dE, k lambda by a d phi. K lambda by a cos phi d phi. And since k lambda by a is constant, we can take this whole term out of the integral. So we get it as k lambda by a integral of minus theta 2 to theta 1 cos phi d phi. Now, what is the integral of cos phi? Integral of cos phi is this, you should by heart. Is equal to sin phi. So now when we apply it, we get it as, what is the equation here? K lambda. So when we integrate cos phi, it is sin phi minus theta 2 to theta 1. So Ex is equal to k lambda by a sin phi theta 2 to theta 1. Minus theta 2 to theta 1. Okay. Now let's apply the limits. That is, instead of phi we are applying theta 1 and minus theta 2. So first upper limit minus lower limit. So we get it as E of x is equal to k lambda by a sin theta 1 minus sin of minus theta 2. Sin of minus theta is sin of minus theta is minus sin theta. Right? So here this minus comes out. So we get here plus. So let's write it like that. E of x is equal to k lambda by a sin theta 1 plus sin theta 2. Okay. So we got our E of x. Now likewise we need to find our next component, that is E of y. So let's find it. E of y is equal to integral of same limits minus theta 2 to theta 1 dE. Our y-axis is sine phi. So sine phi. So instead of dE we should apply k lambda by a d phi. So let's apply this. So we get it as integral of minus theta 2 to theta 1 k lambda by a sine phi d phi. So we can take this k lambda by a out, and integral of sine phi is equal to minus cos phi. So let's apply this. We will get it as k lambda by a minus cos phi minus theta 2 to theta 1. Now when we are applying the limits, we get the equation as Ey is equal to k lambda by a minus cos theta 1 minus of cos minus theta 2. Cos of minus theta is cos theta. So we can write this equation as E of y is equal to k lambda by a cos theta 2 minus cos theta 1. So now we have got E of x and E of y. So in numericals there will be lambda given, a given, and theta 1 and theta 2 will be also given. So applying this theta 1, theta 2 and value for k, lambda and a, you will get the value of E of x and E of y. From that you can find the electric field easily. And there is a special case in this. So now let's discuss that. So in this we are considering the rod as infinite. So if the rod is infinite, what will be the electric field at the point P? Okay. So if rod is infinite, so if the rod has infinite length, so if we are considering a rod of infinite length, so this is our rod and it is going like this, okay. It has infinite length. So this is our rod, and charge is uniformly distributed throughout this rod infinitely. So it's like this, it goes. Okay, the charges are distributed uniformly throughout this rod. So we need to find electric field at a point P. So here in the perpendicular bisector. So this is our point P. So how can we find the electric field at point P? As you can see, as we go up, yeah, down, the angle increases and increases. So if you are taking here, you can take is theta 1 and theta 2, and as we increase the height, like we are going up and we are going down, what happens? The theta 1 and theta 2 increases and increases and increases until at infinite it becomes parallel. It becomes parallel like this. So what will be the angle theta 1 and theta 2? When it is parallel, theta 1 and theta 2 becomes 90 degree. Did you understand it? I'll explain to you in once more. In last problem we have taken theta 1 and theta 2 from one end of the rod and theta 2 as from the another end of the rod. Likewise, we need to take theta 1 and theta 2 in this rod also. But as we go upward, yeah, downward, theta 1 and theta 2 is increasing. That means angle is increasing and increasing. here the angle will be less. When we are taking from here, the angle is increasing. So likewise, when we reach infinity, this angle increases and increases and increases and becomes parallel to this road. That means theta 1 and theta 2 becomes 90 degree. So we can write here that theta 1 is equal to theta 2 is equal to 90 degree. So applying this 90 degree in Ex and Ey, we get that E of x is equal to, so what is E of x? Sorry. What is E of x? Sin theta 1, sin 90, 1 plus sin theta 2, sin 90, 1. So 2 k lambda by a, and Ey, that is equal to cos 90, 0 minus cos 90, 0. So this whole becomes 0. So it is 0. So Ey becomes 0 and Ex becomes 2k lambda by a. In some of the textbook, this Ex is represented as E perpendicular and this Ey is represented as E parallel. So that's of this case. I hope you understand this. Just we consider a road and we have drawn two ends and consider a small element. Element is d5. From this we take components and we found DE. What is DE? And we find the, and by applying DE we find the Ex component and Ey component. Next, we took the special case in which the road is infinite. When road is infinite, the theta 1 and theta 2 becomes 90 degree. By applying this, we will get the Ex and Ey. So that's this case. Now let's look into the case number 5. So this part is really important. It have appeared in both entrance exams and board exams also. So this is really important and really easy to study. So now let's look into this. A charge is distributed uniformly over a ring of radius r. So there is a ring here and its radius is r. So let's draw the radius. Radius, it's r. Okay. Obtain an expression for electric field intensity E at a point on the axis of the ring. So let's consider a point P. Okay. And it is on the axis of the ring. So let's join this. Hence, show that for point at large distance from the ring, it behaves like a point charge. This question has appeared in your CBSE board exam. So I took that question and put it here. So we can derive it and solve this question. Okay. So we have a ring of radius r and we take a point P at the axis of the ring. And we need to find the electric field at the point P. So let's do it. So for this, let's consider a length element dl in this ring. So I am considering an element here. This is my length element with length dl and having charge dq. And this ring is charged ring, okay? I haven't made this positive. This ring is charged ring. Don't forget that. Don't tell that, ma'am, this is not a charged ring. Why we take dl and dq? No, this is a uniformly charged ring. So that's important. Uniformly charged ring. So it's an uniformly charged ring and we take a small length element dl which has a charge dq. Now this dq is a point charge. Now let's join this length element to our point P. Due to this length element dl, a electric charge of dE is experienced at point P which has a direction of this. Okay. dE. And this angle is taken as theta. Since dE is a vector, we can take components of this. So when we take components, we will get it as, since this is theta, this also becomes theta. So this part becomes dE cos theta and this part becomes d sine theta. Now let's consider a mirror image of this element dl. That means let's consider a dl element here. So due to this element there will be an electric field at the direction this. Okay. And this becomes theta, this angle becomes theta, so we can take components. When we take components we will get this part as d sine theta and this as d cos theta. Since this d sine theta and this d sine theta has equal in magnitude and opposite in direction, this 2 cancels and go, and only component that remains is d cos theta. So now it's easy, right? The distance between this dl and to the point P is r. So don't forget that. Okay. Now we can find the equation for DE. So D is equal to K dq by r square. And for dq, this r is constant, this r is constant, this theta is same, and the distance from the center to the point P is x. Now for dq, this x is constant, the radius of the ring is constant, and the distance from P to this dl element is r, which is constant. So we can say that r theta x remains constant. So E net is equal to, we only need to consider our cos component. So dE cos theta. Instead of dE we can write this E net is equal to K dq cos theta by r square. And here K is constant, r is constant, and theta also remains constant. So we can take K, r square and cos theta out of this integral. So we can write it as K cos theta by r square dq. And integral of dq, integrating the small dq, so integral of dq is, I'll write it here, integral of dq is the total amount of charge present in this ring. So total amount of charge present in this ring is considered as q, so integral of q is our capital Q. So now let's apply this in this equation. So we get it as E net is equal to K cos theta Q by r square. And from this figure we get cos theta is equal to, come on, from this triangle cos theta is equal to adjacent side by hypotenuse x by r. Now apply this in this equation. So we get it as, we can write it in next slide. E net is equal to K cos theta, instead of cos theta, x by r, Q by r square into x by r. Okay, so we can write this as K Q x by r cube. Okay, now we have got the expression, and again from this figure we can write r square is equal to x square plus capital R square, right? Should I write here or in that in next slide? We can write in next slide. I will draw the triangle here, that triangle. So this is our triangle and this is theta, and our radius is r, and this distance is x. Here we have point P and this distance is r. So from this triangle, this is theta. From this triangle we can write r square is equal to capital R square plus x square. So r is equal to r square plus x square into all raised to 1 by 2. So let's apply this equation in here. So we get E net is equal to k qx by, since it is r cube, we get it as r square plus x square all raised to 3 by 2. Okay, we got E net here. So now let's put it in a box because this equation is really important. And in entrance exams you may have to apply this equation directly. And values for k you know, and values for q, x and r will be given in the question. So you should apply this equation directly and find out the answer. So you will get mark there. And here you have a special case. So what's that special case? So first one is at center. We need to find E net at center. Now we have found the E net at a point P in the axis of the charged ring. But what will be the electric field at the center of this ring? So at center, this x will be 0. So x is equal to 0. X is equal to 0. So when x is equal to 0, what will be the E net? E net will be 0. E net is equal to 0. Okay. Our next is at infinity. We found at center. So next case is at infinity. At infinity means this point P is situated at infinite length. That means x is much greater than radius of the ring. So we can write it as x is much greater than the radius of the ring. So that means we can write x square plus r square. Yeah, r square plus x square doesn't make a change. Is approximately equal to x square, right? For example, if the radius is in 0.1 microcoulomb and our distance x is in meters, 1000 meters, and when we are taking square of that, it doesn't make a change when we are adding this r with x square, right? So we can approximately write this term as x square. So our equation E net becomes, E net is equal to k q x by x square plus r square becomes x square. So, and x square all raised to 3 by 2. This 2 and 2 cut and go, so it becomes x cube, and in x cube this 1x and here 1x cut and go. So the final answer becomes k cube by x square. So this is the final answer for E net if the point is at infinite. Now check this equation. Is this the electric field at a point when the charge is a point charge? Yes, this is an equation for electric field if a charge is a point charge. So here it behaves like a point charge. When x is much greater than r, the ring behaves like a point charge. So here our ring, which has uniformly charged distribution, behaves like a point charge. So this behaves like a point charge. So that's all about this derivation. So this is a really important part because this question have already appeared in your CBSE board exams and also in some of the state board exams. And for entrance exam, a question is sure from this part. So try to do this derivation by yourself. If you have any doubt, come back to this video, check it once more and tell me how do you feel about this derivation, because I really enjoyed by doing this derivation. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching the video. So see you in the next video. Till then, stay safe, stay happy and study well. Bye.